Welcome, everyone. This is Coach Bronwyn from the Ladies of Hope, the Next Chapter podcast. This afternoon, I've got a very, very special guest with me, Emile Alexander. Good afternoon to you, Emile.
Hi, Bronwyn. How are you? Thank you for having me.
That's good. Thank you so much for being present this afternoon, for being here this afternoon. I must say it wasn't that easy to get hold of you. You're quite a busy man, as I can say.
Yeah, no, we're working very hard, trying to change the world.
Yes. So, Emile, this afternoon, I would like, for the viewers just to find out not just more about who it is that you are, but viewers, this afternoon, this is a man. I always say that dynamite comes in big packages. I must say, when it comes to Emile Alexander, he's carried different hats, different titles, different industries, different flavors. But more than ever, I would like Emile to explain to me, if I look at the man with different titles, different hats on his head, title of a man, title of a father, of a son, of a brother, and of a friend, which one to you would you say stands out the most?
Father, yeah. I think father's always, if you you're a dad who loves your kids, there's nothing now in my life that I can drop everything. Everything can fall apart, but the survival of my kids and their prosperity is the main important thing for me. So I think that's probably the most important thing for me now. Everything I do is for my children, my family. So yeah, father, and then yes, definitely son and uncle and brother are very important. So family, but my kids, I think father's the most important dad for me.
If you look at the generations that we are in today, we're in 2026, and there's a lot of young children today that is battling exactly with that you're mentioning now, the title of their father. They're battling with the fact that daddy's not around, daddy has abandoned them, daddy's not present, daddy doesn't communicate, daddy's just not in their lives. If you look at that, what would you say today is the fundamental thing for men to do to become a father?
I believe there's a difference between a father and a dad. Anybody can become a father, but being a dad is something totally different. Look, relationships don't work out. People have kids and they don't get married, or they do get married, or they're not together. But I do think that for now, with the next generation going forward, and especially our legacy from where we come from, what many people don't understand, our legacy as people of color. And when I say people of color, I probably specifically mean black people and colored people. Our legacy, our systems were designed. It was designed for men not to be home, to fracture that those demographics, so that the powers of those time could control us, obviously for whatever their reasons were. So there's a reason why we have these fractured homes in colored and black communities, why fathers are not there. It's a legacy of slavery, colonization, racism, apartheid. But we can't be living in those days anymore. So if you even if you're not with the person you are with, it's really important that you have a presence in your child's life. Listen, even if you just call them regularly, even as something as simple as that, makes a difference in a child's life. I remember my parents were divorced. My father was also not around. But I look back now, even if he just called, it would make a difference. Obviously, that's not the standard. The standard is to be as present as possible, spending time with the child, quality time, so that they can get to know you. But that makes a big difference, that even if you just visit them once, even if it's once a month, and sending them messages, what that does is it saves them from rejection and abandonment trauma, which is a very terrible trauma to have as a human being. Rejection and abandonment really hurts people. So if you are unable as a man to to be there, time, work, or just your habits. Like at best, just be consistent in phoning them at a specific time. I'm giving you the least now, gents, that you can do. Because ek weet almal van julle, we all different.
Yes.
We all have our vices. We all have our problems.
Yes.
But the least you can do is phone the child regularly, consistently. Always phone on birthdays. Don't break a promise. And the only way to not break a promise is to not make promises. Don't make a promise and then don't keep it. Rather not make the promise. Rather just be consistent, send a message, phone regularly. And I don't want to give this advice.
Yes.
Now guys are going to use this. You should do more. You should be a dad.
Yes.
You should be there all the time.
Yes.
But at least do that. That's
Yes.
what I can say to gents. When you bring a child into the world, at least do that.
Exactly. And when I look at you now as a grown man, you're an adult, you're a father, like I said, there's different titles to your name. But when we look at Emile Alexander as a child, I mean, your mother was a school teacher. And I know there's always an expectation of, when mom or dad is a teacher at school. So the expectancy on you as a son was your grades must be good, educational wise. If they ask you anything to do, you should actually just raise your hand because mommy is a teacher. So when it comes to you as being a young boy, when you were younger, or let me say at school, can you tell me, was it quite difficult for you to have that expectancy being placed on you?
No, I didn't experience that. I was since I was young. I kind of always knew. I had a sense of who I was. I'm very blessed that I had a sense of who I was, and I kind of knew who I was, what I am as a person, and who I am. And I was fortunate that I was clever. And I was fortunate that I did have a sense of discipline and creativity in me. So it wasn't the expectation. I already naturally fulfilled that expectation.
Okay.
So it wasn't a pressure for me. Okay. I do know that for some kids, if the parents are teachers and whatever, and they're not academically the best or sports-wise, whatever, then they're under pressure. I didn't have that. I was quite sporty. I wasn't too bad on the sports scene. Provincial trials. Which I got from my mom. My mom was an excellent sports person at Korea High. But I was also one of the clever kids. Yes. So I didn't have that. And I think what for me was because I had the gift of the gab since I was a child, I was able to have good conversations with adults, young, 2, 3, I was that child, so it wasn't a difficult thing for me. Yes. I didn't have that pressure. I'm very blessed.
So can you honestly tell me that as a child you already knew what your dreams and aspirations were?
I didn't know what my dreams were. I didn't know what I wanted to achieve. But when I in hindsight, when I grew older, I realized that I didn't know that I had talents. I remember this one time. I'm an entrepreneur, and I had all the attributes of entrepreneurship, but obviously I wasn't aware of it because of the fact that entrepreneurship is not a part of our community. The business and entrepreneurship is not in our community. It's a sad part. It's also a legacy of our history. But I knew I had displayed entrepreneurial mindset since I was a child. I remember when we were living in Dalsy Flats in Nuclear, I wanted to have my own paper route. My mom was fearful. You can't use a lot. I remember this one time my mom bought ice quenches.
Yes,
ice lollies. She's like, "Julle moet dit verkoop."
Yes.
And already I think I was about 6 years old that time. I was already calculating, other people are selling it for 3 cents. How much we need to sell it for? How are we going to tell people that we're also selling ice quenches? The following day my cousin said, "I got them ons klaar gemaak." Ek het nie eens enige gekry nie. Ek was kwaad. Ek was kwaad that we didn't sell it. En ek was kwaad dat ek nie eens enige gekry het nie. So, but I didn't know that was entrepreneurial. So I had entrepreneurial tendencies. And I remember this one time in Nuclear, there were people that used to sell vegetables. They would come and pack the vegetables in between the flats on a Friday, and then people could come and buy, but then they would get us little kids to try and sell, and then we get the 3 cents for every thing that we sell.
Yes.
I was one of those kids that tried to sell vegetables to the aunties. So I had an entrepreneurial phase since I was a child, you know. So I always knew who I was, but I didn't know what I was going to be. I remember I wanted to be a scientist, and I wanted to be that, and I wanted to do that. It was only, I think, in matric, that's when the nail hit there, like, okay, I want to be in business.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a plumber, I wanted to do different things, but in my matric year, that's when I realized, I'm a businessman, I'm a guy of business. So that's the time when I knew. But right through my childhood, it was always like different things, you know. Yes. And that's good what you, as a parent, as a father, as a mother, let your child explore. Let them say, I want to be this, I want to be that. Don't let them figure out, but you must just give them exposure.
Exactly.
Take them out. Don't die kinders kan nie net heen. Vat die kinders na plekke toe.
Yes.
Let them go and see different things and experience different professions and experiences, so that their eyes can take them to an expo. Yes. Go, you know, so that they can see different things and have different, because onze kinders is net hier in die township and they just have this experience, and we need to change as adults.
Very true, and you are so right in saying self-exploration is a big thing. I believe when it comes to the younger generation today, that is something that we should not limit or control them in. Allow them to explore, allow them to have visions, and not just allow dreams to stay dreams, but allow them to dream and actually push, you know, their purpose through. There's different hats that you do carry, Emile, you know, when it comes to business, and I'm glad we started with business. You've carried different types of hats, and you still do it. You're a comedian, like you said, you're a businessman. You've been leading from a very, very young age. Take me through the different signatures that you carried with regards to your businesses. What was the business? What was your appetite in the business industry?
Well, I started when I was 17, like I said, in matric. I used to work at jet stores, and I used to get 60 rand a weekend, 30 rand a day, on a Friday, on a Saturday and a Sunday. And then I remember this one time, so my uncle, Uncle Clive, he had this Horok trailer. Now I was very fortunate that when I was 5, my mother gave me this little money box. Remember, FNB used to be called Bob Bank.
Yes.
So I used to put my coins in there, whatever coins I used to. So I associated. I created a positive association with saving, because I used to and because I was a good saver, when I started working, I always used to put away money, you know, I used to save some of my money. So my very first business, I had capital to start this little rock business, you know. I didn't have no money. How am I gonna? And that is because one of the very first, because I do facilitation for students and young entrepreneurs at the Johannesburg Culinary and Pastry School, Maharishi Institute, and all of these places. And whenever I do speeches and facilitations to young people, and I tell them there's a book called The Richest Man in Babylon by Robert Clayson, George Clayson, Richest Man in Babylon. Okay. And he's got 10 laws. The second law is called pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first.
That means save 10% of all that you earn. And then I always used to ask the youngsters, imagine if you saved 10% of every single bit of money that came into your pocket since you've been getting money. If you got a 10 cent, you put a 1 cent away. If you got a 1 rand, you put a 10 cent away. Then they're like, wow, I would have a lot of money. So the very first thing I did was I put money away. Okay? And because I used to save that money, I had capital. So I remember I had 300 rand, and with that 300 rand, this was 1990, 94, 95 at the Standard Bank Jazz Festival, Jazz on the Lake. So I hired my uncle's hot dog stand. I had 300 bucks. I bought boerewors rolls. I bought boerewors. I bought patties, onions, salt and pepper and tomatoes. And then because I took action, fortune favored on me. The lady that was one of the organizers said, hey, you know what, I want you to feed the service providers, so the police and the people who do the what do you call this, the ambulance people.
Yes.
They would, the
officers.
safety, they would come and get the role from you, and I would pay you for.
And the quantity?
So I remember I sold it for 5 rand at the time. So to get to the point, I used to earn 60 rand a weekend. In 6 hours, I made 1,600 rand. I was 17. That's when I knew, this thing of working,
Yes.
can't do it forever.
No.
Even though I had a job,
No.
my mom stopped supporting me when I was 14 years old, because I got my job at Jet Stores when I was 15. So I took care of myself. So I worked, I had no of a boss and whatever. And then and then that was the okay, I'm going to be a business person. But then I went to varsity, not varsity, at Witstech, Technikon, studied engineering, because on you moet gaan study.
Yes.
You need something to fall back on. Okay. I studied that thing, I've never used it. And then I went into those were my first businesses, and since then I had hot dog stands. I used to give functions at out of town status. Yeah, at the what do you call this, stepping out.
Yes.
I used to give functions. So during my student time, I used to be in entertainment business, and I loved it, and I made good money. I really made good money, but I saved it. Then after that, I was fortunate to get SAA were looking for 300 black people, because the pilots and the flight attendants were only white. So I applied for pilot and for flight attendant, for both. And I was able to I got in both. But then for various reasons, I decided, no, I want to go for flight attendant. I think the main reason was I know when you become a pilot, that's what you do for life. I was like, no man, I want to be an entrepreneur and I own restaurants. I don't want to be flying around forever like this. Which is foolish, because I could have started a charter company, flight charter. But now, hindsight. And then I started working at SAA, which was absolutely fantastic. It was one of the best times of my life, because it exposed me to so much. I went all over the world. But a year into the flying, I realized the opportunities overseas. Look at. And then I started bringing in clothes. I started trying to export things from here into Africa. And then I started this import-export business with some friends of mine. It didn't work out. Then in my third year at SAA, I bought my first property. Something happened with my car. My car was stolen and whatever, and I was sad. I remember I was sitting in a hotel room in New York, chatting to my friends, and I was like, they stole my car is gone, and what. I'm gonna go get myself a VR6, and they're like, bro, these guys were older than me. Don't be stupid, get a house. Then I read a book by Robert Kiyosaki. Please guys, Rich Dad Poor Dad, read it. Robert Kiyosaki. Yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad, read it, please. And then your assets, buy assets. Don't buy liability. So I bought my first house. Then I bought more houses here in Ennerdale. Went into property business. And I went into the property business. It was fed by the businesses of me selling clothes. Here's one of this jacket that I'm wearing here is one of the things I bought many, many years ago in Hong Kong. And I used to sell these types of things. I still have one of them. I still have some jackets and t-shirts. Yeah, it's good quality. So I took that money and I started buying properties. And then I was with SA for 9 years, but during those 9 years, I always I'm gonna have my own restaurants. I'm gonna have my own restaurants. I'm gonna have my own businesses. I'm gonna have my own properties. And whenever I speak to the crew, they were like, Emile, that's all you ever talked about. And then 2006, I resigned at SA. And then I opened up my first restaurant, the Jammy's Killer Prawns franchise, and then I opened up my second one. And that was an amazing 6 years. But in 2011, I lost everything. Everything. Alles. Like everything. I was R1 million in debt. The economy was bad. You all know the economy, the global meltdown 2008. in South Africa, we felt it 2010, 2011, 2012. Because we were kind of protected by our laws. We had a very good minister that time, Mr. Trevor Manuel. And I lost everything. I didn't lose my properties because they were fully bonded. But the problem was I lost everything else, and I was R1 million in debt. But the problem was I had to pay these bonds, you know.
Yes.
So yeah, it was a very difficult time of my life from 2012 up until 2014. In that time, I started a internet business, you know. These things that people are doing now,
Yes.
I tried to do it then, like online content.
Yes.
So digital content. So I created this magazine called Wealthwise Mag. So the digital content that people are doing now, and just I tried that in 2012. I had this online digital magazine, you know, trying to emulate a magazine on screen. Remember those types of things? Yeah. I called it Wealthwise Mag, and it was about teaching people wealth and whatever. That didn't work out. Then I tried an enterprise development business. That didn't work out. I went into partnership with the wrong people. They stole my money. And then from there, I started Emilio's Gourmet Popcorn. Now, Emilio's Gourmet Popcorn I saw when I was overseas. In the States, they had this gourmet popcorn shops, Carrots and all of that. And I always used to see Haagen-Dazs, all these brands that you guys see now, Cinnabon. Many years ago, I was like, I want to bring these things here to South Africa. I even contacted Haagen-Dazs and Cinnabon. But then, 2015, I remembered, man, I was like really down and out, guys. It was like bad. It was struggle, trying to feed. I just got married 2013, tried to feed my family. It was tough. And then 2015, I was like, you know what? Gourmet popcorn. I saw it on the internet. And I borrowed 1,500 Rand. And then 2 years later, I was in all the spas, a lot of spas across Gauteng, a lot of retail stores. I had a factory. I had a shop in Monte Casino that was doing very, very well. And then COVID came and shut everything down, and I lost everything again. Second time around. Back into couldn't generate income. I had to sell off my assets. I spent so much money in building that shop. That was a magnificent shop. The plan was to franchise it. I lost all of that, and I had to start all over again.
What did you say? What has leadership cost you?
Leadership, I don't think it has cost me anything. Because you have to reframe. I've just gained from learning how to lead. You know, my leadership journey has been very tumultuous, up and down, because with most entrepreneurs, when you start out, unless you naturally are a leader, most entrepreneurs are working in their business or not on their business. So they're the person in the business. And not working on the business. They're in there fixing things, buying and whatever. Most of us start there. When I had my restaurants, I naturally elevated to leader, where I started managing the managers and whatever. But to answer your question, I didn't lose anything from leadership. I gained because I had to realize that if I want to be the business person that I want to be and what I want to achieve, I have to continuously improve and work on my leadership. You see, I have to work on my leadership. So yeah. Look, what I failed to mention is when I was 25 during SAA, and I don't say this too many, but it's time now so people can understand, young people out there. I was a millionaire at the age of 25. Many people don't know it. I never used to tell anybody. And
25 years of age.
Yeah, while living in Enadel at my mother's house, because of property investments and what. But then obviously, like I said, I lost it. But the leadership, it just makes you, working on leadership just makes you a better person, becoming a better leader. You need to lead. First of all, you need to lead yourself. That's where leadership starts. You must read John Maxwell. John Maxwell is very good. John Maxwell talks about that. The first person you need to lead is yourself. And he wrote, please read this book, Developing the Leader Within You. It's one of his best books. Lead yourself first, and then you can lead others.
So who became your anchor when everything else in your life became uncertain, especially with your businesses? Because from being, a young business boy at the age of, because for me, when you started working at Jet, that was already, you were leading there already. From the fact that at the age of 14, you started buying your own little toiletries, you were on your own feet, your mom didn't literally provide for anything extra, but you could manage your money and you started saving.
Yeah.
That was very, very important. And then you went into business while still working for SAA. You started just being innovative, taking your thought pattern and changing it, because you were introduced to the world. Not just South Africa, but the continent. And you went out and you started looking and searching, what is it that Emile can do different? But when times were uncertain, who became your anchor? Because in your process of the different businesses you were in, there were times that a lot of things was uncertain to you. 2 occasions you've lost everything. Who became your anchor?
What's the problem with young people nowadays? They don't read. Read, guys. There's wisdom in reading. My mom always used to, I told you earlier, my mom always used to say, lees die boek, lees Proverbs, boek van Spreuke. I learned a lot from Proverbs,
Proverbs, yeah.
But I remember once reading this book, the 7 habits of highly successful people. The 7 habits people. I know the gentleman, it's right on I even see the book, but I can't get to his name now. And my anchor has always been my faith. My anchor has always been God, my faith. Right? I grew up, my mom, even now my ma is kerk. My ma is net kerk.
Yes.
So I grew up in a religious home, godly home, But when I read that book, but we all know that even in religion, in church, it's tumultuous. Because people are people, and things happen. So there were times when the church and religion disappointed me, and we all go through those journeys. But when I read that book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, in there, he speaks about, this man's name, but in there he speaks about your values. All churches, all religions have got values that they believe in. And at that point, I think I was in my early 20s when I read that book. It hit me that what must anchor me are my values, and the values that we talk about are solid values of be honest, do the right thing, love, showing kindness. I started writing down what are the things that are important to me. Freedom, those things anchored me. So and those things come from God. The gifts of God. In the Christian faith, it's the gifts of God, the fruits of the Spirit, those types of things. So those things anchored me. I didn't really have an anchor in a person, because what happened was I was disappointed by a lot of people, so I found, and then also I'm naturally, entrepreneurs have what you call an internal locus of control. When something happens outside, you don't blame outside. You look inside, how to solve the problem or how you contributed to the problem. I naturally had that as an entrepreneur. But some people, you don't have to be an entrepreneur.
Yes.
It's just the characteristics that some people have, where if something happens outside of you, you look inside, how do I solve the problem? How do I get myself out of this? You don't blame the situation around you. You see, so that's why it was easy for me to use my values as an anchor, because I always looked internally when something happened. But it can also be destructive. I took it too far, where I would blame myself. Don't take it too far.
Exactly. And those are values that you still use today?
A lot. The values change as you grow older.
Yeah.
Certain things change as you grow older. Your values that anchor you, your beliefs change because of your experiences. But I think most of my values are still very solid. I'm very clear that I love freedom. That's why I'm an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs love the value of freedom. We don't want to be stuck in an office. But freedom comes with consequences. Stability also comes with consequences. Some people value stability. And there's pros and cons to that as well. So I think my major values are still there. I respect. I believe in respect.
Yes.
Like just respect people.
Yes.
Treat people. Be kind. Be kind. Have respect. Have integrity. Say what you mean and do it. Those are like the values that I don't think has ever changed. But some values have kind of. I used to value you, and then you can have negative values like people pleasing. That's some people value. I must make sure people like me. That's something I don't do. I used to have it to a certain extent. I don't please people. It's like, this is the thing, and we can talk about it. We can negotiate around it, but this is where I stand. I'm not doing it to please you. I'm doing it to achieve a goal. This is my goal.
So just to add on to that, when they say laughter is the best medicine, you're speaking about your values, and here you went you took another step or another leap of faith, and you became a comedian. Tell me more about it.
I think the reason why my daughters always used to laugh and say, "Daddy, you always say you want to. The next thing you're gonna do is you want to do this.
Yes.
You want to be an astronaut. Then you want to go study." I even told them a few years ago, I have no problem. I always wanted to be a pediatrician. I can tell you guys now that if when all goes well with my new business and I've got time on my hands, I have no problem to go study to become a doctor. If when things go well and I'm 60, which is not very far away, I'm telling you guys now, I could go study to become a doctor, because I would love to be a pediatrician. I love kids, but the thing is, I've always been multifaceted. I'm lucky that I like to do different things. And when I look back at my life, I have done so many different things. Like, I look back, I'm like, I did this and I did that. But comedy is something I've always wanted to do. My friends always told me, you like jokes, Mark, and you like guara.
Yes.
But it was also, it wasn't like I wasn't naturally funny. My funny came from, it was a defense mechanism, because I was bullied in school. Okay. So I would use humor to defend myself from bullying. So bullying wasn't just physical bullying, it was also just mean, kids saying mean things. So I would use, and that's where it came from. And it also came from the fact that my grandmother was a very sad person. So when we made her laugh, it was like, wow, it was amazing for me. To make my grandmother laugh was an amazing thing for me. Yeah. So I went into comedy because it's beautiful when you're on the stage to bring joy to people, and you see it immediately. You see the effects of what you do instantaneously, but you also can, if you don't do well, you also get it instantaneously. So if people don't laugh at the joke, you feel it immediately. So it's a way of bringing joy to the world in instantaneously, and bringing change instantaneously. And it's also a way that you can educate people, highlight the ills of the world in a humorous way. You can talk about anything on the stage and make it funny, the most difficult things, and that's why I like comedy.
Tell me about a show that you battled to get through an audience, where you could see this is a tough audience to crack. Because I know some comedians go through that way. Sometimes they read their audience and they will find this is going to be a tough audience to crack. Did you experience that?
Yeah, they call it bombing or dying on stage. It happens all the time. Bombing or dying on stage. It happens all the time. You never know. You just know you go on stage and it can happen. It's just you go on stage and you can die. You might not connect with that audience, or your material just doesn't relate to them. It can happen anytime, but that's why you need to do it constantly. You need to be on stage all the time to practice your craft, to practice the skill. The more you do it, the better you are able to read. Comedy is about reading energy, and we're magicians. You are able to read people you've never met in your whole life, able to bring them together to listen to you, read their energies, and all make them laugh at the same time for something you say. It's magic. It's a magic trick.
One thing that I can definitely say, a lot of comedians, you own that. You own it very well, because, like you said, you become magicians, or you are magicians, and I've seen it many a times with comedians, that there be a consistency and a pattern of where you laugh for one joke, but not even long after that, whatever he says again, you even laugh louder. There's just something with you guys when you start, there's a flow and there's just a rhythm to it, and that's very, very profound.
Misdirection. We say this thing and boom. Boom, it's magic.
And then after that, Emile, then from comedian, what else was there?
Comedy was the thing that saved me during COVID and during a very difficult time of my life. But what has happened recently is probably everything that I've gone through, all the losses, all the difficulties, and I'm talking not just business, I'm talking even personally, has prepared me for what we're doing now. We busy starting a bank, a mutual bank. The original founder was my friend and very good friend, and even want to call him brother, who's assisted me. If it wasn't for Calvin from Johannesburg Culinary and Pastry School and his wife Calvin, Joel, Emilio's wouldn't probably have been there. Prolific entrepreneur, all the way from Westbury, also hardship at one time, living in a. So he started Zwippy 5 years ago. So we were like friends. I know him long now, it's like probably 15 years. Yes. So about 5-6 years ago, we started this little consortium, and he came to us and he's like, dudes, let's start a microfinance business, you know. And we were like, nah, you know, we'll join you. But then we were earning, and then he started it. And then a year later he came and, you see guys, I started it, here's the thing. And then some of us like finally joined. And then about 2 years ago, we're like, guys, you know what? Why don't we start a bank? That's it. Let's start a bank.
And you started a bank.
And we're busy building a bank. It started with payday loans. You know, Mashonisas and all that is a very bad industry in our country. So the Credit Association South Africa, or MFSA as they used to be, Microfinance Association, there's a big drive to formalize and get all these guys formalized, you know, so that, because it's an ill in our country, it really hurts people, these guys. So then we were like, no man, we wanna add value, we need to bring change in our communities, and one of the driving forces of it was that our communities, people of color, colored people in particular, we don't own anything in our economies.
You're right.
What has bothered me for a very long time, Bronwyn, is we don't own the shopping center. I spoken to because we wanted to open up a branch here. I spoke to a Greek guy or Afrikaner guy who lives very, very far from here, who owns the shopping center. So my mother goes there and spends money at ShopRite, the money leaves.
Yes.
The tenants there, en Safia, sy betaal renda, die geld loop uit die community uit, when it should be circulating in the community. So my point is, we don't own the factors of production, and our destinies are not going to change if we don't start owning major factors of production, so that our kids can see people who look like them, who run major institutions and who own institutions. So that was the driving force from me personally behind it, that we need to own our own financial institutions, and then it needs to go to property. Those two things, if a community owns the financial institutions and the properties within their communities, it's the basis for wealth creation.
And if you look at Annandale, or let me say just different communities in Johannesburg, but let's start with Annandale. What do you think, if you had to be given a proposal to do a sustainable project within Annandale, what would it be?
We currently busy with a lot of things. A sustainable project I would start with is, I would probably, with Ladies of Hope, we were looking at doing a bakery, right? When I let my, a bakery, hydroponics, vegetables, growing of vegetables using hydroponics, that's something we're going to start also now, Calvin at the culinary school, hydroponics. Starting, and then yes, robotics and AI and coding. That's something that I think we would set up stuff like that to help the children with that, because they need to start understanding how that works so that they can work with it instead of becoming victims of AI and robotics. AI and robotics is going to take away people's jobs, but if you understand it, you would know how to turn it into, how to work with it to create value, you know. I think hydroponics, growing our own food within suburban areas, so hydroponics with solar, those are types of things. Definitely bakeries, and definitely the spaza shop industry. If you go onto our website, the Zwipi Finance website, zwipifs.co.za, you'll see we finance the young man's spaza shop in Extension 5. There's guys, barbers in Toekomsrus that we financed. Enterprise development projects that help our people to start these retail businesses. That's where it starts. Retail businesses, service businesses that we own. I'm not the most xenophobic person, you know. I believe that people go around looking for opportunities, but we need to own the spaza shops, you know. But the problem is we don't have the muscle mentally, the knowledge and the habits to run those shops. To run a spaza shop is hard work, but it can be a base for you to become super wealthy if you do the right things. So we must own the bakeries, we must own the spaza shops ourselves, and have the habits, and so we must create an ecosystem to help the young people to run those things. So those are the type of projects, and that's, to be honest, that's what Zwipi, that's what we're currently doing. We're working on those types of things.
So I must say, you know, in the different chapters in your life, when it comes to the businesses, some businesses have ended, some businesses have started. I believe it's just another chapter that must probably just ended for something new to start. Right now, Emile Alexander is in the prime of his life. 2016 is right here. We're going into 2027, 2028. What's the next chapter for Emile?
Now it's to build this business. Like, I'm hyper-focused. This thing has to be national. We're hyper-focused. We're working on it. We're pushing for people to join our stokvel, because through our stokvel, you could possibly, not possibly, based on your choice, when we get our banking license, you can become part of the bank. Okay, we're building a mutual bank. So just to explain to people, the difference between a commercial bank and a mutual bank is, in a mutual bank, if you have an account in the bank, you are owner in the bank. A commercial bank, you don't own anything. That's Capitec, FNBs.
Yes.
So VBS was a mutual bank, where the people of Venda all had shares in the bank. It was a mutual bank for the Venda people, but unfortunately the leadership was very corrupt and they messed the thing up. You see, there were a lot of Afrikaner banks that were mutual banks. Sambo Bank, United Bank, I think a few of them were mutual banks. So it's a bank where you have a share in the bank. If the bank makes profits, you get part of the profit. So elke keer as jy gaan trega en jy word 'n service charge gecharge, you paying yourself because you own the bank. So this is the thing, this is why we're starting this. We want a mutual bank for people from the townships. That's why we called it Zwipi, because you know Zwipi used to be that game that you flip the coin, and people felt a little bit, but why it was a gambling game? No, we're flipping the coin on our destiny now. Instead of having a destiny where we don't have control, we're flipping the coin now, and we are taking control of our financial destiny. So that's the meaning of Zwipi now. So that's the thing, that's the future now. We're building this thing. A lot is happening. Please go to our website. You guys are going to see the next year or two, it's going to be immense growth.
That's actually what I want you to do. I want you to look into the camera and just speak to the audience with regards to this business that you are in, and how could they join if they've got any information that they just need to discuss with you. Maybe they just want to reach out. Maybe they're interested in joining. I'd like you to speak into the camera and just tell them about this business.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody in between, if you want to change your financial destiny and own something which is going to be part of the future, please go to our website, zwipifs.co.za, and contact us even. We are busy building a mutual bank. We've been starting to change people's lives. We've got a lot of testimonials on our website about how we're starting to change people's lives through our loans, our business loans. And it's not just a loan where we give you money. This loan is, how we do loans is we take your hand and we help you build your business. It's called Zweepy Business Builder. We currently working with early childhood development centers, ECDs, where we actually help them to build their creches. Then the thing that we have is our stokvel. So our stokvel started 1.5 years ago. There's over 140 members now. It's a saving stokvel, and we are all saving together so that we can have a capital base for our license when we go to the South African Reserve Bank. Because to start a bank, you need a license, and to get your license, you need capital that you deposit at the South African Reserve Bank. And so all these people from the townships, colored people, black people, Indian people, they've been joining the stokvel, and we've saved over 400,000 now together as a group. Our aim being to have our capital that we can go to the Reserve Bank and say we want to start our bank. On top of that, we also have our Zweepy loan partners, opportunities where people can become a little branch of Zweepy in their house, and assisting people to get business loans and student loans and personal loans, and then you get a commission. So it's about creating an ecosystem where we work together to change our financial destinies. It's working, it's growing. We are very, very happy. So if you want to be part of the thing that's going to change the financial destinies of everybody in our communities across South Africa, all black townships, colored townships, all of us, join us. You've been told. I'm telling a lot of my friends, guys, you've been told. Many, many years ago, I was told to invest in Capitec, 1,000 rand. Capitec had a stokvel.
Yeah, never knew that.
Yes, in 2002, Capitec had a stokvel. They said, put 1,000 rand into the stokvel. That 1,000 rand worth now, please go Google how much it's worth now. It's over 2 million rand that it would have been worth now, if I did that. So now is another opportunity, guys. Join the stokvel, join our Zweepy loan partner program where you can assist us to help other small businesses in our communities to get the loans that they need, or come for a loan yourself. But join the movement. We're changing our countries. We're changing our people's lives.
I think this is so profound. You know, you've heard it from a son of the soil of Annandale. I'm not just talking about an ordinary man, but I'm talking about a man that speaks about change. Consistency definitely in action and in words. That's Emile Alexander. So change is possible. Change starts today. This is Coach Bronwyn. Thank you so much, Emile, for being our guest this afternoon. I think today it was so insightful. I think there's so much wisdom and knowledge that comes from you. I mean, if I look at young people today, maybe you should even think about just educating our sons and our daughters from the different areas within Johannesburg, because they need so much of what you've just displayed this afternoon. So thank you for that. It was an honor to have you here today as our guest. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say this once again. Change is possible. Change starts with you. It starts today. This is Coach Bronwyn. Ladies of Hope, the next chapter. Until we meet again.